I'm back. So I just kind of wanted to come on here and give a quick part of my testimony, not my life testimony, because I don't even got the time for that today, but just about how God awakened me to who I was and who He is, because I've discerned and identified just by different people that I've spoken with that are not even Christians, that God is literally moving so differently than He has ever moved before, and He is truly awakening His people up. And it's like, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, you're being awakened to a lot of different things out here now, like the new age religion. A lot of people are falling into that because they're having spiritual encounters, but the Christians don't have the answers to the questions that they have, or a lot of them have never experienced God supernaturally, so they don't believe half the stuff that we're saying that's happening to us. So long story short, to just kind of sum up my childhood, because like I said, I'm not really going to get into my personal life testimony, but just about how I awakened to God. As a child, I would always see things before they happened. I never knew how I saw it. I just thought, like, wow, like, I think something and it happens. So that kind of just awakened my curiosity to wanting to study medicine, because I knew that something was powerful with the brain. Like, I knew as a child that what I thought would happen happens, and if I spoke it, it would happen. Like that whole affirmation thing, like I was doing that as a kid. Like I just knew, like, there's something more with the brain and what we say than what most people know. I caught that as a young child. Like, there's something that most people don't know, but I felt like I knew, but I didn't really know. I just knew, like, there was something happening with me that other people weren't aware of. And you know, sometimes it scared my mom. Like, she would be like, who told you that? How did you know that? And I'm just like, I don't know. I thought about it and it happened. So it got to a point where, like I said, I didn't know this was God at the time talking to me, but the Holy Spirit was talking to me through me, you know, about a lot of things, and I would respond back. Like, I would talk it, I would speak it. So a lot of times people would catch me talking to myself, but I wasn't talking to myself. Like, I didn't know I was talking to God, but I was talking to God. So my mom would always threaten me and say that she was going to take me to the doctor. It's not normal to talk to yourself. And I know she really thought I was crazy. My brother would tease me like, you want to be that so Raven so bad, blah blah blah. So like, it was rough. It was really rough as a child, because I knew what I was experiencing, and there was nobody around me that, you know, believed me or even was experiencing what I was experiencing to pretty much say, like, you're not crazy, like, this is the Lord, yada yada. So fast forward a couple years, now I'm like 8. My mom gives her life to Christ, and at this point, like, I'm raised in the church, but I still didn't have a relationship with God, because I saw so much corruption in the church. I saw how church leaders acted behind closed doors. I saw how people's lives were destroyed by people in the church, how they were hurt, and just a lot of just things that I didn't want any part of. Like, I just knew, like, it wasn't God. So I made the decision that I was not going to serve God, just based off of what I saw as a kid. I'm like, this ain't right. Like, sinners getting treated better than people in the church get treated towards one another. So at 13, my mom kind of gave me a choice. Like, look, it's your life, it's your soul. I'm not going to make you do anything. If you don't want to serve God, you don't got to serve God. And I said, okay, I'm not serving God. So I stopped going to church. She stopped making me go, because before that, I was in church like 4 times a week: Sunday morning service, Sunday school service, evening service, Bible study, dance practice, choir rehearsal. Like, it was just all church. I could never do anything outside of the church. I had to just do everything in church. So I was like, I'm fed up with God. I'm sick of God. God's taking away all my fun. I can't go to school dances. I can't watch Harry Potter. I can't do nothing. So I was like, I'm done. I don't want to be a Christian. So that's pretty much the mentality I had from 13 to, like, 21. At 17, I went away to school. A week after I graduated, I went to college, and that's also kind of like when I separated from my family, because I never really had a relationship with my family. I didn't know why. Like, I always wanted one, but it was just like, my family was just so secretive. Like, it was so many family secrets that I didn't know till the Lord exposed them to me once I came to Him. But it was just, I just knew my family was weird. There was something off about them, and I just never had a relationship with them. Even my mom, like, she just never really was in my life. Like, she was always a provider, but like, she just wasn't. She was there, but she wasn't there. And it was like that with everybody in my life. Like, I had people around me my whole life. I've always been a social person. You know, people have always been attracted to me. It was always because they saw, like, this girl go through so much, but somehow she always get her way out of it. And it's not, obviously it wasn't me that was getting myself out of it, but it was just like interesting to be around me, because it was like something always gonna happen when you with her, and it's gonna be like, wow, like, how did she do that? How did she get out of that? And you know, I took that to head a lot of times by just thinking like I'm unstoppable, can't nobody touch me, because I don't know, I just thought it was me, but it was God. So fast forward to 2018, last year. At this time, I smoked a lot of marijuana, and I knew I shouldn't have been smoking, but I smoked anyway. I was smoking for a couple of years. And one day, I was in the bathtub, and this is kind of before, no, this was after. Okay, so I always knew, like I said, about God. I just didn't want to have a relationship with him, so I would always try to find him when I was in trouble. Like, I always knew to just read like a couple songs, put on some worship music, and I just knew like he was there. But like I said, I didn't really want to have a relationship with him because of what I saw growing up. And I started, you know, looking into like the whole chakras thing and the crystals, all that, and just like stuff about science, because that's how my brain was programmed at this point. Like, I'm studying to be a doctor. I'm gonna believe, you know, facts over, you know, what religion is saying. And I just had that whole mindset of science. So I did started, you know, looking into the New Age religion, but I didn't know that it was the New Age religion. Like, I was still doing stuff, but praying to Jesus. Like, I would buy certain crystals and pray with the crystals. You know, I would like use incense and, you know, what is it called? I don't even know now what it was I was using, but I would just do certain things around my house. But I personally was praying to Jesus Christ. So it was like I was looking for him, but I didn't want to go through the way I saw, which was through the church my whole life, because that wasn't the type of relationship I wanted. Like, I didn't want to just go to church, sing some songs, get a word. Like, I was looking for something deeper. And obviously God knew that. Like, he knew it was time for me to come back to him. So I was sitting in the bathtub one day, and I was smoking a blunt, and I just remembered like coming completely out of my body. Like, I saw myself sitting in the bathtub, and I was freaking out, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is some strong weed. Like, this has never happened to me before. And there was somebody else in the bathroom with me. Like, he was actually there. It was the guy I was dating at the time. That's a whole nother story about him and how he was into witchcraft, and I didn't know at the time. But, you know, it was like he was underwater. And I'm just thinking, like, he's dead. Like, he's been underwater for 5 minutes. I'm, like, floating above my body, trying to get back in my body, and I'm just watching everything occur. And it was just, like, out of nowhere, there was a presence in the room. Like, everything froze. And I just saw, like, out of the corner of my eyes, like, I turned my head to the door, and it was just like a beam of light. And then I just saw the Lord. And I didn't think it was the Lord at the time, because I'm like, I've never heard nobody say this before. This is not how God moves. Like, he doesn't just do stuff like this. But I knew in my heart that it was him, because he was just so beautiful. And he was just looking at me. Like, he was just looking at me. And he just had a smile on his face. And I just kept looking. And I knew that it was the Lord. And we were just staring at each other for like 3 minutes. It felt like forever. And then, like, I just fell back into my body. And I just started crying. Like, I just started crying. And then, the guy, he came up out of the water. And I was just like, I just saw an angel. I just saw an angel. I just saw an angel. And I just couldn't stop crying. So, after that happened, of course, I'm looking to have that experience again. So I started smoking more. I'm like, I want this to happen again. And I just started reading my Bible. But I kept just saying, like, that wasn't the Lord. That wasn't the Lord. Like, that was just an angel. That was just an angel. That's what I was saying with my natural mind, because I'm like, the Lord would never just pop up like that. That wasn't Jesus. That wasn't Jesus. But I knew, like, that God was telling me that it was Jesus. But I just kept saying, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. So then the Lord reminded me, in my childhood, I played in a Christmas play or something, and I played Mary Magdalene. And I had like one line, and it was like, I've seen the Lord. And he just kept reminding me and showing me as a child saying that. And then he took me to the scriptures about how he appeared to his disciples. So then I came to terms, like, okay, Jesus, that was you. And he told me to stop smoking weed. And I was just so hungry to have that experience over and over, and just to keep seeing him, because I was going through so much. I was getting ready to apply for medical school, and I was just having doubts about wanting to be a doctor anymore. But I didn't know what else to do with my life. I had already come so far. Like, I knew in my heart that I didn't really want to do that. But that's all I knew, That's all I knew. And I knew that was something that was going to keep me financially stable for a long time. Like, obviously, for the rest of my life. And that's what I was going to do. But he allowed that to happen a year before I was supposed to start school. And then he told me to quit my job. So I was just sitting home every day reading the Bible. Like, I read the whole Bible in about like 4 weeks or less, because I was just so hungry for God. And then he told me to read like the books of Enoch and just other stuff about like what was happening to me. Because like I said, I never heard of no prophet or having no seer anointing. Like, none of this, like, all this was new to me. Like, I thought I was going crazy. And he was just talking to me about everything that was going to happen this year, how he was going to expose certain people. Like, everybody that God told me that he was going to expose this year already got exposed. Like, he told me a lot of stuff that I thought I was just making up in my own mind until it actually happened. And then, just over the couple of months, I started to realize, like, all right, God told me this, God told me that, it happened, this is God, like, I can't run from him anymore. And I just never looked back. So a lot of people that knew me, because like I said, I've always been a social person. I've always had lots of friends. I've always had influence. I never used it for good, but I just knew that I had, like, the power to influence a lot of people. And it caught a lot of people off guard. Like, whoa, like, she's serving God. Like, is she really for real? Like, all the stuff that she done did, and she talk about she a Christian now. But that's what happened. Like, I didn't go through the traditional altar call. I didn't go into a church and find God. Like, Jesus literally came and met me where I was at. I was looking for him. He knew in my heart I was looking for him. But he snatched me right up before I got into the New Age religion, because I was looking for something way past Bible study, Sunday school. Like, I was looking for something deeper than that. And I'm saying all that to say, if you are experiencing supernatural things and you are seeing things that people are trying to deem you as crazy for experiencing, you're not alone. And that is the Lord calling you. A lot of people doubt that God is still the same God that he was back in the Old Testament, or back in the days of the disciple, because they haven't seen that before, like, happen on earth, as far as, like, that level of authority and dominion and power that people can have. And there's coming a time where we're getting back to that. Like, God told me some things that we're gonna do in these last days that I did not believe until I saw it with my eyes. Like, I have no shame in saying that. Like, there's certain things God told me, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'm reading this. Like, yeah, you said that Elijah did this and that, but my human mind couldn't even fathom that we could do stuff like that. So he allowed me to see it with my eyes. Like, I went to what was called a prophetic conference back in May, and a lot of people saw me comment on this person's page because she is a witch, and they were like, oh, the Holy Spirit didn't tell you to go there. Yeah, God did tell me to go there because he told me what I was going to be able to do on earth, but I couldn't even believe it unless I saw supernatural things like that happen. So yes, this lady is a witch, but God was at that conference doing a lot of things. Like, it was not her. So I actually saw supernatural things happen that God has told me that he's going to use his people to do here on earth. And I've experienced stuff myself. Like, 3 times God has told me to go up into the mountains here in California, and the same day or the next day I've seen fire start. Like, I have all this recorded. There's been 3 occurrences where I've literally seen God start a fire. He told me to go pray. I prayed spiritual warfare prayers over those mountains in them same areas. There's fire started. So don't let anybody tell you that this is not how God moves, or that ain't God, or she's a witch, blah blah. They don't know nothing. They don't know what God is about to do on this earth because it hasn't even been seen yet. And that just gets me so because I cannot stand, like, religious spirits. I cannot stand these people that think that they're so mature in God, but they ain't got no power. And it's like, that's kind of what I would tell God, like, when he was telling me, like, he needed me to do certain things for him in his kingdom. I'm like, but God, I don't want to have nothing to do with your people. Like, they all talk. And that's kind of what he told me. They're all talk. Well, he didn't say it like that. He just took me to the scripture. It was like, 1 Corinthians 4:20, how the kingdom of God is not just about words. And to be real, that's all a lot of ministries are. They're all talk. They tell you to do this and that. But if they went through them same tests that you're enduring, or the test that I had to go through, they wouldn't stand 5 minutes. And that's kind of why I'm just like pulling back on certain ministries, because the Lord has literally spoke to me like, these people all talk. Like, they say this and that, and they may post this or that about you, but they wouldn't stand a day in your shoes doing what I've called you to do. So I'm saying all that to say, don't be intimidated by these people who say that they've been saved for 20-30 years. I've only been saved for real for a year, and I never looked back. Like, literally, God called me that one time. I knew it was God, and I ain't been in sin since. Like, of course we all sin, but what I mean, like, I didn't backslide. I have never craved a title in a church. I didn't even know nothing about no prophet, apostle. I didn't know nothing. All I knew was I was looking for God. He came to me in a supernatural way, and ever since, he has done everything supernaturally in my life. Like, he's not doing anything that anybody I can call on that's a Christian can say that they've seen God do. Like, the stuff sometimes I share with people, they just be like, what? And I'm like, God didn't do this for you? And it's only because it's like I'm talking to, like, the old wineskins, but the new remnants, like, they know what I'm talking about. And like I said, I have, like, people that don't even believe in Jesus that's telling me that they're experiencing things that I'm experiencing, and it just breaks my heart because they don't want to have anything to do with Jesus because of the church. So when God told me that he needed me to, like, be that vessel, I'm like, oh, please choose somebody else. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to have to clean up their mess. Like I said, I ran from God for a long time because I knew that eventually he would use me, and I just liked who I was in sin. I liked what I had, and I went through the process. I was hidden for about 4 years. I went through my wilderness process for a year, and now's the time for God's children. That's all I'm gonna say. So don't let nobody son you, make you feel inferior because you still a baby in Christ. You're not a baby. If God is allowing you to to experience these things, and he's unveiling these gifts to you, you are about to be used in a way the earth has never been seen. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. I can't believe I just messed up my mascara. But anyways, that's a little bit of my testimony about, awakening to my gifts and my heavenly identity, because I've always heard the saying, and I think I read this in John Romera's book, that there was a conversation that we all had with God before we got to earth, and I never understood what that meant until he awakened me. Now I'm like, all right, God, I must have said something like, send me to them devil worshippers. Like, I could do it. Like, send me to the fallen angels, because now I'm in the city of fallen angels. Like, I must have said something so bold to God, because I've always had a smart mouth. My mouth has always got me in trouble. I've always had that look, you ain't finna try me attitude. And now I gotta use it towards Satan. But what I'm trying to say is, like, it's true. Like, we all must have had a conversation with God before we got to earth about what we were called to do, because he's gonna call you to do something, and only you can do it. Only you can do it. Nobody can do what God has called you to do. So I'm praying for you every single day, that you will not run from the call, that you will embrace the gifts that God has given you. Do not let Satan scare you away from them. Know your dominion, know your power, know the authority that you have, because there's going to come a time where God is going to put you to the test to show you, like, no, you are who I called you to be. And don't be shocked about it, because I was shocked. A lot of things I've saw, I'm like, oh my God, like, Lord, what the heck? But you were born and set apart for a time such as this in the end times.